Well, hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about your teenager in their bedroom. This can become a real source of conflict. I get this question all the time. The question is, well, how do I get my teenager to clean their bedroom? Well, today we're going to share a few ideas for you, some few things to think about, maybe a little bit of a different perspective you can take around this. So anyway, let's get started and take a look at your teenager in their bedroom. Well, hello again, everyone. My name is Jim White, and I'm an author, coach, and the founder of the Family Enrichment Academy. And today we're going to be talking about the topic of your teenager in their bedroom. Now, before we dive in, though, I did want to share with you, I do have a free resource for you. Another very common question I get is, how do I get my teenager to open up to me and talk a little bit more? Or parents are a little concerned about their connection with their teen. And what I have for you are 10 questions that you should never ask your teenager. Think of these as like conversation killers. And then to follow that up, I got 10 great questions. These are the conversation starters. So anyway, it's a free resource, PDF guide. Down below you'll find a link you can click on, share your email, we'll get that right over to you. I really encourage you to check it out. I think you'll find you start to work these questions in to your conversations. Start today, and you'll have a new teenager and better conversations by tomorrow. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. So now let's talk a little bit about your teenager in the bedroom. And really there's going to be kind of like three different areas we're going to take a look at today. The first one just is around doing a little self-reflection for yourself and what is the goal with regards to your teenager in their bedroom. And then the second thing we'll take a look at is just a little shift in perspective, maybe an alternative way to look at your teenager in the bedroom. And then finally we'll look at a specific example of how you can use this source of conflict to maybe help move your teenager along their journey and get them prepared to go out into the world and live on their own at some point. So it's part of that process of launching them, if you will. So those are the three things we're going to take a look at. And so let's just dive into that first, do a little bit of self-reflection of what's going on from your perspective with regards to your teenager and their bedroom. So what I would ask you to do is just stop for a few minutes and think about what's going on for you. What is it about your teenager in the bedroom that's causing you such a conflict? It's probably pushing your buttons. A lot of times when I talk to parents, they'll say, I can't stand it being a mess, or I wish they'd take better care of their stuff. There's a lot of different things that can pop up for the parent, but I really just want you to kind of create a little self-awareness is what's going on for you. And the reason I bring this up is because 9 times out of 10, we end up back at a place where the parent it's the teenager is not doing it the way the parent would do it. And so consequently, the parent's trying to control what's going on in this situation. They're trying to control or make their teenager act in a different way, in a way that would be consistent with the way the parent would do it. And again, if you watch much of our videos, we talk about how when they're young, the parents do control what's going on. But as your child moves into their teen years, there's this transition that needs to happen from less control to more empowerment. And so the reason I'm having you self-reflect a little bit about this may be one of those circumstances where we can start to make that shift. Now, obviously, you have to be ready to do that, but I want you to just consider, okay, are you really trying to over-control what's going on? And with that, it becomes a battle because your teenager wants to do it differently or wants to handle their bedroom differently, if you will. And so the question is, can you start to let go a little bit of that control? So that's the shift in perspective. And what I'll throw out with you, this is sort of that second step that we talked about is, how else can we look at this? Maybe look at it, how can you use this particular circumstance and your teenager in their bedroom as a way it's like a teaching moment, or it's an opportunity to help your teenager grow, learn, and develop. And so rather than trying to control what's going on and have them do it the way you'd like to have them do it, let's think about how we can use this particular situation to empower your teen, to teach some lessons, to have them take more responsibility in the end and prepare them for later in their life. So that's the shift, is to let go of that control, and let's look for a way to use this as a teaching moment. So that's the first thing. Stop. If you can start to take that on and make that move, move from your mindset standpoint, then we can move on to the next step of, okay, how can we use this as one of those opportunities? If it's really tough to do, that happens. Sometimes you're just not quite ready for that. When I say you, I'm talking about the parent is not quite ready to let go of that. But just know if you are stuck there, it's going to continue to be a source of conflict. So anyway, just that's the first step to really move this to another place, is to let go of that control. Okay, so now we're going to talk for a few minutes about how we can turn this circumstance, this situation around your teenager in a bedroom, into a teaching moment. Now, for a lot of parents, what I want to do is I want to start here by introducing another process for teaching, and this is the whole idea of experiential learning. The reason I bring this up is because a lot of times with parents, when I talk to them, they'll say, well, let's use the example of, let's say the big issue in your teen's room is that their clothes are just everywhere. They leave them on the floor, hanging on the side of the bed. They're just a mess. And we've had that. I've had that in my house. And so the parent will go in and they think of it in terms of teaching. They're going to go in and they tell the child, they say to them, hey, you need to take better care of your stuff. If you don't take better care of your stuff, it's going to get damaged, or it'll be a mess when you try to wear it. And so you have this conversation and try to, quote unquote, teach the child by telling them about it. And the issue is, a lot of times they just don't listen. And that's where I'm going to encourage you to think about. There's this other approach, which is more of an experiential learning approach. And what that is that the premise there is that you have to go through the experience personally in order to really get or understand what in this case, the parent's trying to tell you. I like to use the example of learning to ride a bike. I could tell you how to ride a bike, and you could read a book and know all about it, but you really don't know how to ride a bike until you get on and start riding. And so this is the same thing with your teen. I mean, you can tell them they need to take better care of their clothes, hang them up, and just because, and you can tell them about the consequences, they'll be a mess and all this, but the teen won't really get it until they experience that personally, if you will. And so that's the shift I'd like you to think about is, when I say it's a teaching moment, it's not about you telling them what to do. It's about you putting them in a position to where they're going to experience it on their own if there's an issue. And they will learn a lot more from that, and they'll start to get what it means to take care of their stuff when they have to deal with a consequence that they create out of their own lack of care, if you will. So think about this, and let's approach it from an experiential learning standpoint. And I think we'll have a lot more of impact and be able to empower the teen a lot more from that approach. So now let's take a look at how we can shift this into more of an empowerment approach to learning and experiential learning. So what I would recommend that you do is find a moment when you and your teen are in a kind of a good place. Maybe you feel like the relationship's good, you're not in the middle of an argument, in other words. And then what you do is you just have a little conversation. I like to call this is a way to transfer responsibility. And so you say something along these lines to the teen. You say, your bedroom I notice we're fighting a lot about it, and the more I think about it, this is maybe an opportunity for you to learn and grow. At some point you're going to be moving off on your own, and it's going to be up to you to take care of your room and take care of your stuff or your house, wherever you end up living. And so maybe we can use your room right now as a place to practice that. And what I'm suggesting is that you can just take over and you can be responsible for whatever, for how you take care of your stuff and what goes on in your room, as a way to practice and learn and get ready and prepared for when someday you move out. So you have a conversation like this with them, and the point is, and then ask them, do you feel like you're ready for this? And they're going to almost always say, yes, we're ready. That's what I've been trying to say all along. That's why I fight it, is I want to be able to it's my stuff. I want to be able to take care of it. So they will probably willingly accept this responsibility. Now, another thing you can do, and I would recommend this, is to say, well, there needs to be a couple of ground rules that are really about if something happens that starts to impact the rest of the house. I mean, the room is their space. They can do what they want. But if, let's say dirty dishes, if they got all the dishes in their bedroom and you can't, you don't have any dishes in the kitchen for other people to eat, that's an example of them impacting the rest of the house. And I think you'll find they'll readily agree to a few conditions like that, that if they do start to impact the rest of the house, then that's something we have to address and come to a compromise or a middle place. But other than that, you're kind of shifting the responsibility for them to take care of their room over to them. And as we were talking about, let's say it's clothes are the issue. Clothes are always on the floor. They don't really take care of their clothes. So you have that initial conversation, transfer that responsibility. Now the key though is a week later, 2 weeks later, something's going to happen. They're going to come to you and they're going to say, well, all of my clothes are dirty. I don't have anything to wear to school today. And this is a point where you can't rescue them. And it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do about that? You kind of shift that back to them, put it back on their court, because again, they agreed to take over responsibility, right? We can show you how to run the washer. You can wash your own clothes. Or they're going to come and say, I've got this, it's all wrinkled and it's a mess and I don't want to wear it like this. Well, again, don't rescue them. Don't say, well, let me iron that for you or let me wash it and make it better. Turn it back over to them. And the reason is, remember we talked about that experiential learning. When they have that moment where they realize, okay, wait a minute, I've got I don't have any clothes to wear. What am I going to do? That internalizes and they start to understand, oh, maybe I should take better care of my stuff, or I need to plan better, I need to be more responsible, because if I don't, then I'm faced with these consequences. So that's what I mean by turning over that responsibility. And again, the key component is that second step. You can't jump in and rescue. You have to turn it back to them. Now you can, again, support them. And let's say in the example of washing the clothes, you can say, well, the washer machine's down there. If you want, I can show you a little bit about how to do this. But again, you're just, or you could even send them to YouTube and say, hey, maybe you ought to go to YouTube and look up how to, how do I run a load of laundry? Again, that's even maybe a better approach than you showing them how, because again, you're putting them in the position to where they have to take care of their own stuff and their responsibility. So anyway, just a quick example of how you can maybe turn this into a learning opportunity using that experiential learning approach. Have a conversation, transfer the responsibility, and then the second key step as well is when they have an issue, something bad happens, don't rescue them at that point, give it back to them, and you can be compassionate about it. And I would encourage that. It's not like, well, I told you so. It's more of, oh, wow, that's kind of a bummer for you. What are you going to do about it? And you need to be compassionate because it is a struggle for them and they're trying to learn and grow. So anyway, that's the next step of transferring that responsibility. So there you have it, a few fresh ways to look at your teenager in their bedroom. And I really encourage you to open up to this possibility. I think you'll find that your teenager, one of the places that we see some conflict is because they want to start to be viewed as more of a grown-up, and they want to take on responsibility, and they want to be able to be, feel like they're being heard and appreciated as well. And this is an example of where you can sort of say to them, okay, you're growing up, you're being more, you're becoming an adult, here, take on this responsibility. And you start to shift the relationship to that perspective. I think you'll find a lot of things might work a little bit better. And so this bedroom issue may be a place to start that process. So anyway, hopefully you found some value. Maybe you got some fresh ideas and ways to approach this particular situation. So before we sign off today, I did want to remind you I do have those 10 great questions that you can ask your teen as conversation starters. And then again, those 10 questions you should never ask, the ones that are the conversation killers. That's a free resource for you. Click the link below and you can grab that. Here, the Family Enrichment Academy, it's just truly an honor to be able to serve you as you move along your parenting journey. I just can't tell you how much it just fills my heart to be able to work with people and watch them grow and learn and develop and watch their teenagers blossom as well. It just gives me so much purpose, and it's why I'm here, and it's why I do this for you. I just love being able to help and share. And if you have questions, comments, please reach out to me. It's again, it's why we're here. And it's our mission is to be able to help and support parents as they move along their journey, which creates an opportunity for that teen to move along their journey as well. So anyway, until we meet again, I always like to sign off with a change in perspective changes everything.